My name is Ethan Carter, and this is the story of how I learned something painful. Truth doesn't always win. Sometimes it simply survives. Growing up, my world was held together by three people: my dad, my mom, and my grandfather. My dad, he wasn't rich, he wasn't powerful, but he believed in people. He taught high school history in a small American town, one of those places where everyone knows everyone and everyone thinks they know the truth. But my dad didn't just teach history. He taught us to think, to question, to understand. And that became his greatest crime. When everything changed. A new mayor came to town, Daniel Brooks. Nice suit, sharp smile, the type of man who shakes your hand while calculating how much power he can give him. And of course, he didn't work alone. Mark Turner, cold eyes, saw problems even where they didn't exist. Scott Hayes, always smiling, the kind of smile you never trust. They wanted control, complete control. And men like my father, they don't like people like him. He encouraged thinking. He encouraged questions. He talked about fairness, justice, courage. And to people like Mayor Brooks, that is dangerous. So the rumors started. Quiet, soft, then louder. He's against the system. He's corrupting students. He teaches them to question authority. And then, one night, they came. No warning, no kindness, just badges, flashlights, papers, cold eyes. They searched our home like we were criminals. My mom tried to stay strong. My grandfather didn't. He fought, he shouted, he demanded answers. But my dad, he was calm. Sad, but calm. Not angry, just disappointed. Before they took him, he knelt in front of me. He placed his hand on my shoulder and whispered, "Ethan, take care of your mom, and remember, if your voice scares them, then your voice matters." They drove away into the night, and the house stopped feeling like home. The aftermath. People changed overnight. Some avoided us, some whispered, some acted like they never knew us. Silence is the loudest betrayal. Only two people stayed the same: my mother and my grandfather. One night, Grandpa looked at me and said, "There are three kinds of people, kid. The ones who hurt others, the ones who watch silently, and the ones who stand up. Be the third kind, even if it hurts." Back then, I didn't fully understand, but life would teach me. School changed too. Teachers looked at me differently. Students stopped sitting beside me. Except one person, Mr. Miller. He called me after class. "Ethan, knowledge is the only weapon they can't take from you, so keep learning. That's how you fight." And one friend stayed, Tyler Reed. When others laughed, he didn't. He just stood beside me and said, "Your dad didn't do anything wrong. He just scared the wrong people." Sometimes one loyal person can save your soul. The worst night. A town hall meeting was called. Everyone came. Mayor Brooks stood like a king, Mark cold beside him, Scott smiling. They talked about protecting the town, about removing threats, about keeping order. Then they talked about my father. They called him dangerous, un-American, a problem. Everyone stayed silent until my grandfather stood up, old but strong. He looked straight at the mayor and said, "Before you call a man a threat, make sure you're not just scared of the truth he tells." The room froze. Mark shoved him. He fell. And nobody helped. Nobody. Silence. Heavy. Cowardly. That night, Grandpa's health collapsed. Before he left this world, he took my hand. They can jail good men. They can ruin names. But they cannot erase truth. Promise me. Don't live silent. And that was the last thing he said to me. Years later, time passed. I grew up. The town moved on. Mayor Brooks, corruption scandal. Mark Turner, charged with abuse of authority. Scott Hayes, turned on them to save himself. They fell, like men like them always do. But did that fix anything? Did it bring my dad back? Did it erase the pain? No. Pain doesn't disappear. It settles inside you and turns into strength. Today, I teach now, like my father did. Sometimes I stand in front of my classroom and I feel him there. I tell my students, being a good person is the hardest job in the world, but it is the only job worth doing. And when the room goes quiet, I imagine my dad smiling, because I didn't stay silent, and I didn't become like them. I became what he hoped I'd be.